In this video, we're going to take a look at the Thrift Savings Plan, or TSP. First off, I want to define what the TSP is. It is a Defined Contribution Retirement Savings Plan. And what defined contribution means is you get to specify the amount of money that is going into the plan, but there is no guarantee on what is coming out. What goes into the TSP account includes your employee contributions, the government contributions for FERS employees, including the automatic contributions and the matching contributions, and of course any earnings that those contributions make over time. TSP contributions themselves must come from earned income. They're subject to the annual IRS limit of $17,500. That does get adjusted every year. That also includes, if you are over 50, a $5,500 catch-up contribution for a total of $23,000 for those folks. The IRS limit does apply to both the combined civilian and uniformed services accounts. So if you have both, that $17,500 limit applies to the combination of the two, so you don't get a double limit. Taking a look at the contributions and the matching now, as you see here, if the FERS employee were to put in no employee contributions, they would get a 1% agency automatic matching. For the first 3% that the employee puts in, the agency will match dollar for dollar. The next 2% after that are matched 50 cents on the dollar. The net effect, if a FERS employee puts in 5%, a total of 10% will be contributed to their account between both sources. I cannot recommend strongly enough that every FERS employee mandate putting in at least 5% in order to take advantage of the full match. Another new option available to the TSP participants in the last couple of years is the Roth TSP. You can contribute to a Roth TSP or the regular TSP and specify the amount you want to go to each portion. A Roth account goes in as after-tax money, so you do not get a tax deduction for it now, but is untaxed when it comes out and when you withdraw it, including any earnings on the amount you put in. A traditional TSP is tax deductible when you put it in, so you don't pay income tax now, but any amount you take out in the future will be taxed at income rates. They are maintained as separate accounts within TSP, so you will see a Roth balance and a traditional balance. The agency contributions cannot go to a Roth account, however. So if you are making all of your employee contributions to the Roth account, the agency contributions will continue to build up a traditional TSP account alongside of it. A brief word on the catch-up contributions. They become eligible in the year you turn 50. So if your birthday is December 31st, you can actually begin catch-up contributions at the beginning of that year. You must already be contributing the max, however, otherwise the catch-up wouldn't apply. That is also an election that you are required to make each year. It will not continue from year to year, so you need to go back into TSP and elect making that catch-up contribution. We're now going to talk about the various investment funds available within TSP. There are only 5, and then the L funds that are a combination of the other 5. The C fund is an S&P 500 index, essentially representing large American companies. The F fund is a debt index fund, essentially the entire bond market. The G fund is the government fund. It's also the only guaranteed fund based on U.S. government treasury securities. The S fund is based on a small cap index, so it's small American companies, and the I fund is the international fund based on larger international companies. The L funds are the Lifecycle Funds and are just combinations of the other 5. So we're going to take a look at those Lifecycle Funds now. They were designed for people who don't have the time or the desire or the experience to manage their investments themselves. They distribute their amounts within those other 5 funds, adjusting that allocation quarterly, and as it gets closer to the target year, which is the year stated in the fund's name, they will get more conservative each quarter. As it gets to your target year, it transitions and turns into the L income fund. That professional allocation mix uses the other 5 funds and is theoretically based on your time horizon or your retirement date being the date on the fund. One option that many people have, if they find the L fund for their own expected retirement date to be too conservative, but still want to utilize the Lifecycle Fund option, is you can go farther out. So if you're thinking of retiring in 2030, but that just seems too conservative, you could put into the L 2050 fund, which will dial up the aggressiveness a bit, but still maintain that automatic quarterly adjustment as you get closer. The allocations within the L funds, to show you a few of those, I brought up 3 examples. The L 2050 is for someone not retiring for quite some time, so it's rather aggressive. 42% in the C fund, 18 in the S, 25 in the I, very aggressive. The L 2020 is someone retiring in just a few years. That's increased up to 41% in the G fund, so much more conservative, and down to only 27 in the C. And the L income fund, for those people who are already essentially retired or have met that retirement date, is almost 3/4 in the G fund, or very, very conservative. We're going to take a look now at the 5 base funds that are themselves investments or components of the L funds, and see how they did over the last 10 years. You see across the bottom, the G fund had an average of 3.39%, but it hasn't been anywhere near that lately with the low interest rates we've been seeing. The F fund has varied some, has had some good years and one negative year, down at 4.65%. The C, S, and I have made significantly more over those 10 years, but have also had much more volatility, and if you look at 2008, some significantly negative years. It's important to remember both the long-term returns and how much you think you might be able to make in that investment, but also the volatility that you might experience along the way.